I'd like to introduce you to my colleague Sian Jones. Sian is a very, very experienced practitioner, highly effective, sustained practice, and this afternoon we'd like to talk to Sian about her journey from PGCE to highly effective, sustained practitioner. So Sian, I wonder if you could give us a little background to yourself, please.
Sure. Well, I studied music at Southampton University before completing my PGCE at Cardiff, and my first teaching post was at Gwenvo Primary School, and during my time at Gwenvo I became the lead for music and Welsh and early years. I took a career break to have my own children, and then I worked as a supply teacher for a while, and then had teaching posts at a couple of local primary schools before finally returning to Gwenvo, and I've taught in both Key Stage 2 and Foundation Phase.
Thank you. As you can see, Sian has a wealth of experience. So Sian, what are your particular areas of expertise?
Well, music I would say would be my main specialism. I'm passionate about the role that music plays in the life of a young person. It always played a very important part in my own life, and I can look back on some of the teachers that I had and the impact that they had on me musically. And I believe that music can give children and young people confidence and a sense of belonging. So music is my main area. I've recently completed a year-long VTCT certificate designed to equip primary school teachers in delivering the digital competency framework, and I also speak Welsh fluently.
Thank you, Sian. So moving on, Sian, I wonder if you could outline ways in which you have supported colleagues in terms of music.
Well, in my early teaching career, I put together a music scheme of work, and that was a really useful exercise to explore the curriculum and to fully understand and grasp the skills and range that needed to be explored in each year group. I've run Foundation Phase and Key Stage 2 choirs and supported staff in both Key Stage 2 and Foundation Phase by directing Christmas productions. Now, COVID presented challenges for musicians, but I felt it was really important to keep music alive throughout the school, even through those challenging times, and to offer the children opportunities to perform during Christmas 2020 and 21. I was really grateful to have the opportunity to lead other members of staff and to support them in working together to produce whole school performances. I think it gave us a feeling of togetherness really in a dark time, didn't it?
Yes.
And this included sharing techniques to record small groups to create a whole school performance on one screen. And we had a children's lockdown choir and a staff lockdown choir, and the staff sang a school song which came as a collaboration between myself and another member of staff who's a published author, and we shared poetry and songwriting techniques, and we asked the children for their input, and between us we created the lyrics, and then I composed the music for the song. Just before COVID, I was working with the Arts Council Wales in a mentoring programme with one of their arts champions, and I really believe that the best way to support others is to keep learning new techniques and skills for yourself. Through the scheme, I organised some training to take place during Twilight Inset, and I think all staff benefited from this session. And we hope to have another session, but COVID made that impossible, unfortunately.
Sian, if I could just come in there, as I was thinking as you were talking, and I wonder if, sort of putting yourself in that position of having to go back and to learn something new, helped you in terms of thinking about offering expertise to colleagues, but also to put yourself in the shoes maybe of colleagues who don't have the musical expertise or who may be a little bit daunted by having to learn something new, because I think that we can become very set in our ways, can't we? You know, we find a way that works for us. So I think to have to put yourself in that position of where you're having to relearn something new can help you to empathise with feelings of colleagues with maybe who haven't got such confidence in music, maybe.
Absolutely. I think just before COVID, I did do a number of courses with the Arts Council, and some of them were way out of my comfort zone. And I think that's a really good feeling to, as you quite rightly say, to remember how it feels to be learning something for the first time, and how frightening and nerve-wracking that can be. Really.
Very, very much so. Yes, yeah. Thank you.
So when I was working on this mentoring programme, we began working together to develop a bespoke scheme of work that would tie in with the Cornerstones topics that we were following, and unfortunately we weren't able to complete this, but some of the ideas that we'd shared together in our discussions, they led to some different ideas, different lesson ideas that I was able to use during our season of online learning, and then I was able to then share those with colleagues within my teaching team. And so that was a good opportunity to do that. I always try to look for opportunities to highlight music within the school, so little things like the Welsh Music Day, and BBC Orchestra do some lovely workshops online at the moment, but in person, that's always good too. And also keen to spot CPD opportunities to develop, as we talked about, my own musical skills, as well as opportunities to help those who, as we talked about, maybe don't feel quite as confident. For the last few years at Gwenville, I've job shared or covered PPA and management time with staff throughout the school, and we've worked together and supported them in the teaching of music and learning songs for St David's Day and other events, and sharing knowledge in the use of music technology, apps such as GarageBand. Because I think music is an area, as you said, that where people feel apprehensive about teaching it.
I think so, and I think as well, knowing Sean very well as I do, that Sean is somebody that colleagues readily seek out for advice and support, very, very readily, because, to reiterate, it is an area which people can feel daunted by.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, Sean, if you think of your own career, I wonder maybe if you could just sort of outline your journey in terms of I1, sharing, offering your expertise, sort of thinking back from PGCE to highly effective sustained practitioner, and how you've developed over those stages throughout the years.
Well, when I started my teaching career, I was fortunate enough to work in a positive and nurturing environment where all members of staff work together to support one another. And despite being an NQT, I always was made to feel that my contributions were valuable and worthwhile by all members of staff, including my mentor. And I've carried this approach with me in all the places that I've worked, and I believe that the best way to learn is to reach out and not to be afraid to ask for advice from others. But I think that comes from a transparent working environment. So if you work with somebody who encourages you and gives you that confidence, and is about exploring and not being afraid to make mistakes and exploring new ideas together, and just that nurturing environment. And I was so fortunate to be in such a nurturing environment at the beginning of my career, and I worked with a number of experienced teachers, and still do, and they gave me the confidence in those early years to try new things and to believe in my own abilities. And I firmly believe that all teachers have areas of expertise specific to them, and when we work together as a team, learning always from one another, it can be a really powerful force, because nobody knows everything. We've all got different areas that we should just be able to tap into amongst one another, really. When I work as a student mentor, I would try to find a student's niche and strength and encourage them to develop it in terms of classroom practice. And as teachers, we're all lifelong learners, and it can be really rewarding to learn something new from a young student.
Very, very much so, yes. And to help them on their journey, you know, as they progress from unaware to aware, capable, QTS plus, and a highly effective sustained practitioner. And I think, Sian, you know, what comes out really strongly from what you were saying there as well is that if we're mentored well, I mean, I reflect on really effective mentors who believed in me, and who I could trust, and who would let me try things out and let me share my ideas. I think if we're mentored well, then I think we take that with us into our career, and we're able to share that with others in our mentoring, as I say, you know, as others progress through their teaching career.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think, you know, it's about supporting, just looking in that, creating that environment of trust, isn't it? That's what it is, and it allows a good flow of communication, good conversation between the student and mentor, doesn't it? To openly ask for advice and openly ask for support without worrying about getting it wrong and making a mistake, because we're all learning.
And I think, you know, as a highly effective practitioner, we always welcome new ideas, don't we, from students coming through as well.
Definitely.
Sian, thank you so much for your time this afternoon and your insights. That was really fascinating. Thank you very much.